pouring that electric and get gas. I said, I'm not going to guess.
All right,
Yeah.
everybody ready? We're gonna, Dan's giving me the sign, so I will call to order. This is the Monday, November 4th, regular village board meeting. Roll call, please. Here.
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 So, next order of business is to welcome back Trustee David Donovan to the village board.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here, David.
Good to be back.
Yes. So the last time you were here, I think Jerry and I were only within the board.
I think that's correct.
How many years
has it been? It's been about 5 years since I've been here.
Well, welcome back, and things are busy, so saddle up.
They are. I was trying to catch up, but I didn't.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And just so the audience and those watching know, David was appointed to fill the seat of Jeff Brook, who resigned to go to graduate school. So David will serve the rest of Jeff's term, and then if he chooses, he can run for office in April, right, this spring. But then again, anybody else can run too. So excited. Thank you, David, for being here. All right, item 4, I get to introduce the village's new Director of Planning and Zoning Administrator, Elise Cruz. There she is, yes. So, this is exciting. This is our very first full-time village planner. Yay. Do you just want to say, like, a 90-second introduction? Sure. Okay, all right. My name's Elise. I'm a 2009 graduate of Oregon High School, and I would probably be the most surprised person in the room if you would have told me I would be here 10 years later. I'm sure like most high schoolers, I was ready to take the dust off my hometown, but I think distance makes the heart grow fonder, and excited to be back. I went to undergrad up at Northland College in Ashland, was up there for about 5 years, and then the last 5 years I've been in Charlottesville, Virginia, where I moved to go to grad school for urban planning, and then stayed and worked for a nonprofit that works with low-income families, and then I worked for a real estate developer down there as well. I saw this position open and just seemed like it was a great fit, so decided to be on board, and I'm on day 6. Excellent. Well, you came back for day 2, so that's all that counts.
That's after working a week with Jeff and me. So
Wow. Yes, that's the ultimate test. All right, well, welcome, Elise. We're gonna keep you busy. Thank you. All right, so we have 5 public appearance. We're not going to do item A because the Rotary Club has found an alternate location to do their project. So we're just going to skip that one. 5B, we have a discussion of possible action. This is regarding the proclamation recognizing Lakestone Properties, Mike Montalto, Mom Engineering, MSA Professional Services, and United Electric Inc. for the Jefferson Crossing Apartments, the downtown parking lot, and downtown electrical undergrounding projects. So Jeff, how about if I let you take the lead on this?
Sure. Do you want to do the approve the proclamation first, or?
Well, we probably should, I guess. If you're going to say all these nice things and we don't approve it, that might be embarrassing.
Yeah, let's see if you agree with this.
All right. Should we, so you want us to maybe read it first, or should we just approve it and then read it later?
Approve it.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the proclamation?
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. You're safe.
All right, so, as many of the board members know, and in this room know, that several years ago, we were approached by Lakestone Properties. At that time, I believe you guys were under the nomenclature Spam Re, correct? Yes, world's best idea, correct? I think, yes. But Brett Friedman and Brian Spouse approached us and said, we've acquired this property, these properties that were semi-rundown homes. There was an auto body shop, there was some old storage, it all abutted our public parking lot back there on Jefferson Street, and they just said, we really want to see this area improved. And the 2 young guys came to us and said, we'd like to work with the village, we want to kind of rearrange some things in the parking lot, we'd like to make it work for everybody, we'd like to kind of solve some of your problems, and it was just a very smooth process. They were very accommodating in going through the design, implementing some design sections or changes from the plan commission and village board, approved, kind of moving ahead by getting it designed, getting it contracted, and then through all of that came a suggestion from a board member. I don't remember her name. It was actually Jeannie Carpenter. Said, "Can we put the underground lines or the above power lines underground?" And
Started the
great
ball rolling
suggestion.
and getting that done. And then we said, well, if we're doing all this, then we should be doing them also in the parking lot. And we should reconfigure the parking lot. And it really just kind of, I don't want to say snowballed, but it was one of these projects that really just came together in a kind of a perfect fashion and perfect form. The one scary thing when going into it was there are a lot of pieces. And there were a lot of components that had to come together to make it work well. And when you get to the end of one of these projects, either you're looking at it going, this really, really went well, and we need to acknowledge that, or you're going, how much did we end up paying in legal fees trying to get it all straightened out? And this is one of those examples where things really, really worked well. And I just felt that now that we're totally done, the construction's done, everything's done, and it's looking fantastic and working really well over there. I just felt the need that we should, as a village board and as a village, recognize those individuals that had contributed so much to that. And so as you go through the proclamation tonight, you'll kind of see some things, but I want to kind of highlight some things before we do that. To Lakestone Properties for truly investing in our downtown, coming in with a 61-unit apartment building, really taking a blighted area of our downtown and really improving it and filling it up instantly with great tenants that are using our downtown businesses, and it's just a fantastic addition. So that's we want to recognize that. Mike Montalto, who Montalto Group, correct? Okay, Mike Montalto. I've worked with a lot of project managers and a lot of construction managers through my years, and Mike is at the top of that. He's patient. He's understanding. He worked with us. I know he worked with Lakestone well. They continue to use him on their projects because he's fair. He does an exceptional job, and for a project like this to be able to work, kind of working for us at times, but mostly for Lakestone on this joint project, he just did a phenomenal job. Their engineer was Quam Engineering. We have representatives from, Aaron, correct, from Quam Engineering tonight, working with us, but then really doing the parking lot layout. There were some design changes when things kind of came in a little higher, little elevations a little higher on some utilities and that type of stuff, and they did a really nice job with that. The other end of this was, okay, how are we going to get all of this electrical and all these services to all of these buildings, tenants, businesses on South Main that all get their power overhead, be able to get that done and underground, uninterrupted as much as possible service to the back of these buildings and upgrade that back there. And as you remember, this was a very challenging project in as much as we had trouble getting people interested in bidding on this. And there was one individual who, first of all, the design. Okay, we immediately thought of who did we use for the downtown project and who had done such a nice job on the downtown project for a consultant. And that was MSA. And so we contacted Kevin Lord and Mike, I forget Mike's last name, Maloney, Mike Maloney, and they were able to put together an excellent package. Very, very. I can't even remember if we had any major changes through the whole process, but just be able to put together an exceptional design package, be able to match the original decor and the lighting and everything that we had in the original project. And then came the bidding, and the bidding was a very challenging thing. We actually had to bid this project 3 times. And we had to bid it 3 times because the first time the numbers were crazy. The second time the numbers weren't correct in the format and everything. And the third time we bid it and were able to award it to United Electric. And Matt from United Electric is here tonight. Matt, I will say this, from the very get-go, he was the only contractor that wanted to meet with me out on site. And he wanted to look at the project, he wanted to walk around there with me, and I knew right from the get-go I was so happy that they got the project because, it told me that he cared about it from the get-go. And we had a great working relationship. It's not always the case when you're in municipal projects and everything like that. They did an outstanding job. I can't think of one complaint of any kind of interruption in service in the whole switchover of everything. So, you take a project like this with a lot of moving parts, and when it makes our job easier, staff's job easier, and the village board job easier, I think just deserves recognition. So that's what I wanted to kind of take this time and thank them personally, but then hopefully through this proclamation from the village, just to thank them for such a good job on this project.
Excellent.
Could I just add a word?
Yes, Matt.
And Jeff never had to call me about this. So that is really amazing how these guys all work together so collaboratively and solved problems on an informal basis, I would say.
Yep.
Day in and day out, which speaks to the just spirit of working together on things cooperatively.
Excellent. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for being here. So we are going to read this proclamation. I think it's just easier if I take it from here and pass it around. Is that okay? Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so here we go. And you guys each get a copy. I'm sure you're going to want to frame, it's already framed, but put this on your wall. This looks nice, Jeff. Nice job. Okay. So this is from the Village of Oregon, Wisconsin. We were incorporated in 1883. This is a proclamation recognizing Lakestone Properties, Mike Montalto, Quam Engineering, MSA Professional Services, and United Electric, Inc. This is for the Jefferson Crossing Apartments, the downtown parking lot, and downtown electrical undergrounding projects. The Village Board and staff of the Village of Oregon, Wisconsin wishes to recognize the above-named individuals and corporations for their contributions to the Jefferson Crossing project and the downtown parking lot and electrical undergrounding project.
Whereas Lakestone Properties, including Brett Riemann, Brian Spanos, undertook an aggressive plan to redevelop a blighted area in the village's downtown, creating a 61-unit, 3-story apartment building with underground parking.
Whereas Mike Montalto, as their construction manager and prime contractor, worked closely and patiently with the village in the construction of Jefferson Crossing Apartments and the public parking lot improvements designed by Quam Engineering.
Whereas MSA Professional Services and Kevin Lord, PE, prepared the necessary engineering documents and provided construction support services for the undergrounding of power and communication utilities along Jefferson Street and within the public parking lot.
Whereas United Electric and Matt Pitzner provided exceptional contractor services for the electrical undergrounding project, a difficult project achieved with minimal disruption to downtown businesses.
Whereas the Village of Oregon acknowledges the willingness of all parties to work together as a team on this important public-private partnership.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Oregon formally recognizes these individuals and publicly wishes to thank them for their contributions toward this successful downtown improvement project. Presented on November 4th, 2019 at the Village Board meeting.
Excellent. Jeff, do you want these individuals to come up so you can present them?
Definitely.
Yes.
Walk up.
Yeah. Okay. Come on up. There you go. Want to hand them out?
Thank you very much. Very much appreciated.
I think Judy wants to take a photograph of the group.
Yeah.
There's a mic standing up for a second.
Jeff, I think you should be in the photo. You're the one who did
Yeah,
the
I
work, buddy.
agree.
Be in the photo.
Go in the middle.
I'm going to be in the back.
We just signed stuff.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so very much, gentlemen, for being here and for all your hard work. Obviously, we will not take it personally if you leave right now. But before that, I want to thank Jeff Rao for his leadership on this project. I'm trying to imagine what this would have looked like without you in the picture, Jeff, and it
Would've
might
been
have
done last
involved
year.
Matt. So, thank you for saving us attorney fees, and thank you for your leadership, Jeff.
Yeah, it was
Very
good.
much appreciated.
It's fun to go through it. It'll be fun to see as we get it lit up this holiday season and
Yeah.
everything, and, yeah, it'll be fun.
Very good. All right, thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you. All right, we are going to keep trucking here. So item C is we have a discussion with Adam Coyle regarding Oregon Apartments LLC's request for tax increment financing assistance for the apartment project at 124 Rosewood Avenue and possible board action. Let's see, before we do a motion, Adam, do you want to tell us just a little bit about what you're planning, and what you're asking for?
Yeah. So I'm Adam Coyle for Oregon Apartments LLC here. We're looking at a 58-unit apartment complex in between the current hotel and right along Rosewood Avenue. So it'd fill in that vacant lot behind the hotel and the condos behind there. This would be a 3-story building with a flat roof. It's got a step-back design to kind of ease the height from the road. And the total site is 2.28 acres. So the density ends up being about 25 units, 25.4 units an acre. This would have underground parking. We have 52 underground parking spaces. There's 58 units total. And the mix is pretty heavily set on 1-bedrooms and efficiencies. So our mix would end up being 7 efficiencies, 34 1-bedroom units, 15 2-bedroom units, and 2 3-bedroom units. That mix allows us to start the rents a little bit lower, a little more attainable pricing, starting at $865 a month would be our initial asking rents on the efficiencies, and the initial asking rent on the 1-bedrooms would be $995. So we're able to keep it under $1,000 a month. In this project, there's some other problems in the area. We have some tough soils to deal with, and there are some drainage difficulties behind us that we're aware of with the condos behind us. So in this project, we're also including us addressing that drainage from all the way over the condos, all the way to the pond. And we'll be redoing the ditch, actually redoing the pond, and the whole drainage easement would be redone to, hopefully help serve the better area. We're also connecting a sidewalk from the new apartment building to the sidewalk on Concord, hoping that people from the hotel and apartments can walk over there if they want to go down to headquarters or the future brewery there. So that's kind of the overview on the project.
Mike, or do you have any comments?
If the board wants to, move ahead with this, I just put a recommendation on the agenda just to have, actually we'll talk about when Dorn's up here too, that the full developers would provide an initial $1,500 fee for, again, a very basic analysis by Ehlers. This would be Ehlers talking to Adam or talking to his accountant just to get some basics and then seeing, because typically these cost over $5,000 to do a TIF analysis by Ehlers. Sometimes even more expensive. We've had them run up to $10,000 when they've gotten complicated. I don't think they're that complicated, but that $1,500 will at least get us, both of them talking to Ehlers about their projects.
And Adam, you're agreeable to paying?
Yes, yeah, that would be fine.
Any questions from board members? Yeah,
So,
Randy.
Adam, I have a question. I mean, the soil issues, have you done testing? And,
Yes, yeah.
we have water here, so.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the
And you're
same.
going to have underground parking.
Yep, so we have to work around it to get the
Yeah.
underground park in there. It basically, it covers about half the site. I guess it'd be the southwest corner of the site where we're expecting, some extra work to be done. I think the total general site cost is about $350,000. And then we're adding some hydrants as well. So that probably adds on about $40,000.
So you've done some testing?
The testing's all been done,
Okay,
yes.
good.
Yep.
Is there any way, Jeff, that we could get a view of the site?
The site plan's not in the packet, but I can
Right.
give you where we're talking about.
It's behind the hotel. If you sort of can picture the hotel is on Park Street.
Yes, I just can't picture the behind of the
Got
hotel
it.
part.
Got it. Got it.
Let me get a
That's the
photo
best way to
here.
put it.
Mhm.
And this photo won't have the hotel on it yet, but
That's okay.
the hotel is right here.
Right.
and then this is the parcel right here. And so this is Rosewood, Concord Drive, and like Adam's talking about, one of the main concerns, I think, with the neighborhood situation, at least right now, is everything kind of drains back to here and then has a hard time getting out of here. And I actually met with one of the residents recently and showed them the plan that they have for the catch basins and how it's all intended to get out here and then into the stormwater basins. So I think that's a prime focus that you've made from the get-go, and that's good. And then you're talking about the sidewalk connection here to get back to headquarters and possibly that new brew pub and everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, Corey. Oh,
David
sorry,
was
David
actually
first.
Well,
Mhm.
as regarding the retention pond that they want to redo, is that truly just a retention pond, or is it just a pond that slows down the discharge to a point where it gets to a creek and is out of the city?
It's, it's not a wet detention pond right now. I know that, Adam, you have not done the pond improvements from the hotel yet. That's something that they've been kind of waiting to do. I can't remember if that's intended to then be turned into a wet pond.
I
don't believe
understood
so.
it just to become larger.
Yeah,
That's how I
yeah,
understood
don't
it.
believe so. It's been kind of just a dry pond, because it was designed during an earlier phase, obviously, or earlier time.
Is there the potential, or is there a way that water can be removed or allowed to exit the pond, or is it's going to be, my concerns are really two things, and it's early, so I don't know all the information, is that it becomes another pond that ultimately overflows and we've got another problem later, or it becomes a mosquito infestation
Yeah.
because it's stagnant water.
Yeah, it currently has an outlet right now, and they're just gonna reconstruct the outlet. The outlet right now is right here, and then it goes overland flow.
Okay.
You can see like a little channel here down into, it's called Butter Factory Creek is kind of the
Okay.
official term. And they're reconstructing this berm, it'll have a new outlet structure
Okay.
on, so yeah, it'll have an outlet on it.
Okay.
Corey.
As a new board member, I guess I'm kind of curious, do we have any form of a TIF policy for, kind of what we expect, out of our TIF projects?
That is a great question. It's one of Lisa's first projects she's working on. And we actually have been needing one for quite some time, so we don't have one right now, I'll
Okay.
tell you.
Yeah, that would be something I definitely would
Yeah.
like to work on. I guess my other question is, when we're considering TIF, I think one of the primary things we need to make sure is that this is the right development in the right place, and I think our comp plan is intended to guide that. And I'm curious how these apartments fit in with the existing zoning of that being a planned business district, and whether there's been any outreach to the surrounding community regarding a fairly large apartment building being located there.
So this has been the planning commission for at least two conceptual discussions. Planning commission's okay with having an apartment project back there. And we've actually had to notify the neighborhood, because this Thursday is Adam's GDP hearing at the planning commission.
Okay. And then I guess finally, a question for Adam. Is there any surface parking proposed with this as well?
Yes, I'm sorry. There's about 60, I think it's 56 surface parking spots as well, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Let me see if I can pull that up, Adam, because you guys have done that recently, haven't you?
Yep.
Yes, Amanda.
It's related to the parking. I noticed that parking rentals is underneath rent on your proposed, how much you're gonna charge, kind of a thing. Is that like for the second car of your two-bedroom apartments, or part of the rent? Is that included? How does that work?
So initially, what we'll do is we'll have one spot reserved for every unit, except for the efficiencies won't. There's not enough spaces down there. So every unit has one spot attached to it, and we would expect to charge an additional $30 for every underground parking spot. And that's the initial number. And then we'll try to balance it with the tenants who do and don't want it and do and don't need it. Some people will obviously need that to get on the elevator.
So that's per month?
Per month, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Randy.
Adam, I'm just curious, what's the exterior materials you're going to use?
It's all smart side and brick. So there'll be
Okay.
no vinyl on the building.
Okay, all right.
side?
Like a composite siding, the cement board, hardy plank,
Okay.
similar.
Thank you.
So a solid surface equivalent to siding.
The planning commission will look at that in December when Adam comes, as part of the GDP process, what's called the SIP process, which is kind of a site plan. So he has to then come back in December and the planning commission will scrutinize what he's gonna do with the outside of the building. Yeah. He knows he needs to bring
That part
samples.
will be
We're
nice.
just- we're just-
There'll be no problems there.
Yeah, so at the planning commission level, we require the developers to bring actual examples of the materials. We want to see the colors, we want to see the materials. And if they don't, it's often not approved. We table them. So developers have learned to bring those things with them. And Adam's been through this before with the hotel, so he knows the drill. It's
Well,
a-
we
it's an
want it to
even
be
tough
nice.
planning commission.
We want it to be nice too. This is something that we
Yeah.
expect to have forever. So this will be a forever piece, and for us, we do want it to be, a building that can last forever without problems, so.
Adam, are you expecting to own the property or hire someone to manage it, or how?
So I have a management company, so I manage about 630 units now, so I would expect that my company would manage it.
Okay.
So my current employee is myself. And then I would have a group that owns it, so I would be one of the, people in that group.
Okay. Yes.
Sorry, keep thinking of more questions. So some of the units, or there isn't enough parking for all of the units to have a spot. How many units won't have a spot?
So the underground parking will be a few units short, I believe it's 6.
6 units?
Yep. There are 7 efficiencies, so it sounds like one would likely have a spot attached. They will have surface parking, and on the east side, a couple of these will have a direct entry from the parking spots. So we think we can make up that, missing underground parking right where we've got the hand on the computer. Some of those will have direct walk-ins, and then across the parking lot, we'll have some direct entries as well. So they will have, there's enough parking as a whole. Just the underground, you get a little short on that when you have the 1-bedrooms and efficiencies.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we have a recommended motion to forward the TIF request information to our finance advisor, which is Ehlers, for analysis with Oregon Apartments LLCs, paying the initial $1,500 fee for the analysis. Is anyone interested in making that motion? Yes, Jenna?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, so, yeah, we're through the first step of the process, and then, Mike, how long do you think that will take? Any, weeks,
I think
months?
Ellers will contact Adams accountant this week,
Okay,
and we'll start working on it.
okay.
I mean, at some point, this will come back, both these, if the board approves the one for Dorn, will come back to the board, and most likely we'll go into closed session to talk about it, but we'll be negotiating a TIF agreement with Matt's help.
Gotcha.
It's going to be the next step.
All right, well, thank you
Thank
for,
you.
bringing this forward. Thank you, Adam. All right, so next we have this is item D, discussion with Tom Dorn regarding request for tax increment financing assistance for Phase 1 project and possible board action. So welcome, gentlemen. If you just want to identify yourself for us, and then maybe just talk a little bit about your project.
I wore red, so it would be easy to pick out various colors. I'm Tom Dorn.
Welcome.
I'm Keith Ball. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. So just to kind of catch up the village, or for the board here, these gentlemen have been in front of the planning commission several times, and they have things approved, and we've extended the deadline, I think, once. And now we're at that process where, thank you for writing the memo. We have that 2-page request proposal narrative in our packets. Kind of give us a little bit of the history of the Dorn family in Oregon, and then a little bit of history of the project to move forward. And it sounds like at this point you've decided that, but for TIF assistance, it's not economical for it to move forward. So do you want maybe just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we've got more detail of construction costs and the type of building, especially even listening to Jefferson's Crossings building and looking at it with underground parking. Our original plan did not include underground parking. Looking at putting in underground parking on that site and building it to a quality that we could feel we could get rents that are out in the market today, that it was too difficult at that site, at that construction cost, to put up a building that we could do that with. So we didn't really, without some kind of help, we really felt that that building wouldn't proceed.
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit like about what you're expecting, like the first, like the retail area to be?
So,
Yeah.
so that first phase is, building one runs along Main Street. It's going to have probably 4 retail potentials on the first floor, and then grounds 2 and 3 are apartments. There again, a mix of efficiencies, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. There'll probably be about 4 2-bedrooms up there. You know, phase 2 and 3 is another. Phase 2 would be a building along Richards Road. That would probably be apartments. If commercial was still desired in that area, we could do commercial on that base floor, and then apartments or grounds 2 and 3 also be apartments. And the third phase would be a replacement of the hardware building on the back of the site. As Adam was talking about drainage on their site, you know, our drainage issues are probably some kind of a retention plan in the back left corner of the site, and in that picture we have that. And then on the kitty corner, on the front corner of that site, there's a substation, I believe, either a pump station or something like that, that we'd work with the city on camouflaging or make look pretty or accessible for them to do their maintenance. But those are probably the 2 challenges on the site.
So this project is just phase 1, which, Jeff, do you want to just point that first building,
That
the
red
pink,
building,
the pink or the
correct.
red building?
Mhm.
Okay. Questions, board members? Yeah, Corey?
Did the planning commission, you know, while I'm all for kind of more affordable, you know, apartment units and things like that, did the planning commission look at this site from the standpoint of, you know, this is kind of in the middle of our commercial and industrial district, and, you know, access to parks, things like that? I'm a little bit concerned with this location having, you know, residential components to it.
Do you guys want to address that?
We have some concerns in that, but we felt, being on the north side of town, accessible to Fitchburg, easy to jump on M and go over to Verona, there might be some people that would like housing on that side of town. I had some concerns with that, but I also feel that there's a health club just over on Market Street. It's within walking distance of a grocery store, a hardware store. People want to live where they can walk to shop. And I thought, boy, I even thought a great name for this would be North Main and Market, because you'd be living in almost a market atmosphere where you could shop at those different places. I think it'd be, you know, appealing to senior citizens or people that don't want to drive somewhere.
Yeah, so this is a more modern planning mechanism
Approach.
of urban living. So building up instead of continuing to sprawling out.
Are there any kind of internal amenities for the residents on site, I guess?
We didn't have there again, we were going to try to build a relationship with the health club to have some kind of a situation where they could use that either at a reduced rate or, you know, free for the first year or something like that, because we didn't build that into the ground floor at all, other than having, you know, a coffee shop that they could visit or something like that in the ground floor in the commercial.
Yeah, Amanda.
Hey, thanks. I was wondering if you had given any thought to, like, flip-flopping the sides of that. And the reason I ask that is because space along North Main Street seems to be at a premium for a lot of the groups that you have allowed in the past to use your parking lot, like the Boy Scouts selling the Christmas trees and the farmers market and stuff, and moving them behind a barrier like a building often will decrease their sales immensely, to the point where they're looking for prime space there, and by putting housing on the road, it's not the best use of that space right along the road. So I don't know what your thoughts were on that, if you were going to continue to allow those activities on your property, or...
Well, it kind of depends on how quickly the different phases go in as to how much space on the site is available for those groups. We looked at building the first building along Richards Road, but that also blocks the front of our hardware store. And you know, there's 2 schools of thought. That the traffic on Main Street, as they're coming up to the stop sign, they can see our building before they get to the apartment building and before they're stopping. But as they're queued up to the light, they're looking at an apartment building versus the hardware store. So that's negative for the hardware store, right? The other approach would be, not the other approach, but if you're approaching north out of town and coming up to the light, you can see the hardware store because you can, over Bill's grocery store's parking lot, you can see the front of our store. You know that it's there. Hopefully it's a destination for everybody in the room. It's not as important with the apartment building then because you can see the store. So we thought, visibility-wise, to people who live in Oregon, it'd be better to build that building first instead of the second building along Richards that would block the view. But no, we weren't thinking about, where can the groups meet after this is all built. I have spoken to those groups, and during construction or what have you, we might be able to put the Christmas tree lot maybe along Richards Road there where that row of traffic is. But long-term, I can't promise them that I'll have room for them.
Sure. That's your prerogative.
Yeah,
I'm not saying, absolutely. But
Right,
you
right.
mentioned it in your letter,
Absolutely.
and I thought, gosh, where will those groups go? So
Yeah.
it'll be,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's why I was
Things may
asking.
change, yeah.
Sure.
Mhm.
Okay.
How about David and then Jenna?
Sure, several questions, but have we looked at the increase in traffic at that stoplight? It's already fairly busy at certain times of the day. A 58-unit apartment building could do some sizable damage to additional traffic.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a 30-unit,
This is a 30?
this building. But you can also notice that they moved the driveway back from the stoplight. Currently, it's, down
It's right
right
about
there,
here, yeah.
and they moved it back so that cars could queue along the street. I don't know if they've looked at traffic counts and that kind of thing and worried about that, but they did move that, I think, in regards to safety at that intersection.
Second question is, and again, getting back to my water issue with the previous candidate. You said you might have a retention pond there as well. I understand there's already a pump station there. I don't see the water issues changing on average for the Village of Oregon. If anything, they'll probably get worse. Have we looked at ways to manage water more efficiently? And the volume of water, are we looking at more increase in volume of water management rather than just what is stated in the code?
I don't know if they have, and I don't know, is that a septic substation or is that drain water?
That's a sanitary pump station right
Okay,
there, so.
okay.
Yeah, that's one of our main and only pump stations that we have.
Gotcha.
But David, okay. David, just to discuss that, part of it is, quite honestly, a lot of the site is already impervious, which is, I don't want to say this, but to their advantage because it's already impervious. And, but they will still be, have to meet our stormwater standards, which are pretty stringent, but you're right, there is, anytime you start looking at changing things, you're gonna see a change in stormwater pattern. We'll hold them to the standards that everyone else is held to, which are pretty stringent. Not overly concerned, they'll have to, I think Mike Slavny had talked with you originally about kind of your landscape ratios, and, there's, as with anything, as you kind of get closer to more of a formal design, you'll be looking at that, I would assume, and that may balance some of your additional impervious that you would be thinking to have.
Yeah.
We already have looking at a filtration system underneath the parking lot.
Okay. Yeah, so like a subterranean storage or filtration, which is much more common now in urban areas.
All right, Jenna?
Kind of excited to see this come before us again. I think the area is ripe for development, and I think I like the fact of having apartments near all the shops like Dorn, like Bill's, and once the school comes up on the north side, I think, is that north? Yeah, that's north.
Yep.
That I think that'll make it a lot more desirable place for families as well. So I'm really excited that this project is moving in this
Start.
direction.
Good.
Thank you for bringing it forward.
Good.
Cool, yeah.
To Tom, what is the timeline for the phases? I'm just curious.
You mean, what's the plan of when
Yeah,
phase
like,
2 or
I'm-
3 might go on?
Well, I'm really
When's the first
interested in
one?
the store. I like the store.
Yeah. We don't want to disrupt business at the store.
Don't take
Yeah.
You know, And frankly, it kind of depends, I mean, we really want to get phase one done.
Sure.
We feel that that can, if that can stand on its own, great. But we really, you know, this is kind of our first venture into doing this type of development. So I hate to promise, you know, phase 2 and 3. I actually think if we did phase 2 and 3 would probably be done together because we'd have to kind of build it and move the store at the same time. You know, so you'd probably even build the third building, move the store, and then tear it down and build building 2.
Got it.
And you'd probably kind of do that all, you know, about the same time. But it really depends on how well this phase 1 goes.
And am I wrong? The Rotary Trail isn't that far from here either, so,
No,
right?
it's right at the intersection.
Yeah, so there is some
Braun and,
recreational,
Market.
yeah, for people to use.
Soft market.
Corey? Yeah.
Question, I guess, for Tom or staff. I saw in the financials that, you know, the TIF assistance anticipated in there was $190,000 over 5 years. And my question is are you anticipating, you know, a pay-go situation for this TIF?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
David?
One question's related to that. One of the things I couldn't make out in the detail here is if the request for the TIF is for all 3 phases, or if you're requesting by phase, so that we could maybe approve, you know, as we see the development going, we are approving payments accordingly.
Right. This was for that phase 1.
Just for phase 1, okay.
Oh, yeah, and the parking lot, which we're going to have to do to create some more parking in the back side of the lot as we eat up parking for the building, a little bit of parking for the building.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of infrastructure that is going to go into phase 1 that will actually benefit phases 2 and 3. In other words, some of that will already be done. And it's in phase 1 because that's really the only way you can do it. So.
So just to clarify, 190,000 each year for 5 years. All of that would be over the course of 3 phases though, right? Or are you saying all of that is just for phase 1?
That was what we were requesting
Just
for
phase
phase
one.
1.
Okay.
And the 5-year, it was putting it out there because that's kind of a typical commercial lease that we felt that we might be able to increase some rents to make it more profitable after that point, along with residential leases if they start increasing. But if it makes it easier to spread it over 7 years or 10 years, we could probably work with that.
But you're not intending to come back for TIF for phases 2 and 3?
Not intending to.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Just clarifying.
All right, so we have a recommended motion. I'm sorry, Matt, did you want to say something? No. Okay. We have a recommended motion to approve forwarding this request to the village's financial advisor, which is Ehlers, for analysis, with Dorn paying the initial $1,500 fee for the analysis. And is Dorn agreeable to that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll move approval.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second it.
Randy and Amanda. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We'll
you.
keep moving forward.
And Jeannie, what I'll do
Yes.
is I made a note, I'll ask Elise to help me put together a package of, when Thorne went through, the planning commission scrutinized it and actually addressed a lot of the concerns that came up tonight. And we'll put together some minutes, and so the board members that weren't here when that was going through can
Right.
take a look at it.
Right.
Thank you.
So they have a
Yeah.
comfort level that the planning commission really scrutinized the project.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I guess I do have one thing
Yes.
just to mention, and this goes back to the question about a TIF policy. Although the village doesn't have currently a formal policy, the process that you've started tonight in terms of financial review and the issues that would be looked at would likely
Yeah.
be central to any policy you
Yeah.
would adopt.
Yes.
The kinds of information that's being requested and evaluated and the financial questions that are being asked are the questions I would expect you to build into any policy you might adopt. So although you don't have a formal policy, in a sense, you're following the key steps that you would be likely to include in your policy.
Excellent.
So you're telling us we're not really being that critical?
Well, no, I'm telling you that even though you don't have a formal policy, you're following the steps that I think you would include in your policy. Even though you don't have it, you're still taking the steps that I expect you would want to take, if you had such a policy. And there is, in fact, a draft policy that Elise has got on her desk and will be reviewing and probably bringing to you all. Maybe even before you take action on these requests, you'll be looking at a draft
Potentially.
policy, potentially before you have to make a decision.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Matt. Okay, so we are going to move forward, thank you guys, to item 6. This is the village attorney, village administrator report. Our first item is item A. We have a discussion of meetings with the Oregon School District regarding new school resource officer agreement. A new date for the next meeting is Monday, November 11th at 11:30 a.m. And that's the working group meeting, correct?
Yes, correct.
That is open for the public to observe, correct?
That's correct.
Right,
Yep.
okay. And where is that going to be?
In the back of the room.
Okay, so it'll be here?
Yep.
All right. And then, next,
And as part of 6A, I
Yeah.
gave the board, so everyone's in the loop, the material that was handed out and we looked
yeah.
at it at the meeting, so.
Okay.
The last meeting.
yeah, so this is, what is this called? This
Flow chart?
flow chart? Yeah, this is nice.
The Dragney chart.
This is the Drugney chart.
Yes.
I guess.
Nice. I like it. I like all the boxes and the arrows. I suspect that perhaps we might, are we going to talk about any of this in the next agenda item? Maybe.
I think I put in the packet, make sure the board is in the loop
Yeah.
on what we're doing. If there's any questions about the agreement that's in the packet is going to get revised, but I just want to make sure that everyone was on the same page as we're moving forward, and then seriously looked at the flow chart that Matt prepared. And then there were two emails from 2 village residents that I included in the packet as well. So.
Excellent. All right, so then, moving on to item 6B, which is related, we have a discussion of possible action regarding the interim school resource officer agreement effective until December 31st, 2019. We have a recommended motion to approve this agreement between the Oregon School District and the Village of Oregon until December 31st, 19. Does someone want to talk about this a little bit before we make a motion? Jenna, do you want to talk about it? Anyone?
Sure, I can talk about it.
All right.
So, this is the agreement that we spoke of at our last full board meeting. It is the 2018 agreement with some revisions, some, I would say, I don't want to say non-substantive, just like state things, right?
It's the agreement that was signed for the
18.
previous school year.
Right, yeah, so not
Yep.
any real major changes.
Right.
And like I said, it's the one we talked about at the last meeting, approving on an interim basis while we continue the work of the new and updated agreement. As Jeannie mentioned, there's a meeting on November 11th at 11:30, and then for those of you that don't have a child in the school district, the school district also announced on November 14th there'll be a information session that parents in the community are welcome to as well at 6:30 p.m. So.
Where is that at, Jenna?
That's at the Innovation Center. It's at the high school.
Okay.
I think it's called the Innovation Center.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second floor.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, on the second floor. Thank you. So, and that'd be a great way to get feedback of, after we've gone through any changes on the 11th, we'll have a way to get feedback from the community. So I want to make sure to highlight that time as well. But yeah, so as one of the people in the working group, I would encourage you all to move forward with this as we continue the work of the SRO agreement and get that officer back and get the officer into the schools so we can get that process moving.
What's the timeline to have an officer in the school if we keep moving forward?
I'm looking
Or we don't know.
at Jenny.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jenny
Oh.
would have more of a.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's pretty
Oh.
quick.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Really?
Okay.
Well, that's
Okay.
exciting.
So
I knew it was quick, but crap.
Yes.
does
Oh, yes,
does
David.
that imply that the school board has acted on this already and accepted the extension?
I believe this is already signed by Dr. Bustler,
Yeah,
is it not?
correct. That's
Yeah.
correct.
So David, to catch up, we talked about this, the 6B item last meeting to see if we would be agreeable to signing it. We were gonna talk about it in closed session, and then we decided just to do it in open session.
Okay.
But it wasn't an action item, so tonight we are actually
Okay,
acting on
all
it.
right.
Yeah. So do I have a motion to approve the interim school resource officer agreement between the Oregon School District and the Village of Oregon effective until December 31st, 2019?
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a second it. Any further discussion? Yes, Amanda?
Can I just say thank you to Jenna and to Randy, being personnel, but a lot of things had to happen to open communication with the school board and get to where we are now. So I got really positive feedback. I attended the last meeting, and all of the citizens who attended were impressed with how it went. It was very positive. It's moving in the right direction, so kudos.
Yes, Randy?
And I just want to include Matt and Mike too at that meeting.
Thanks, Randy.
It was a great meeting.
Yep,
Yes.
thank you.
And Jenny.
Mike and Jenny.
Thank you for
Didn't
your
mean to
leadership on that.
exclude you all.
Appreciate it.
It was a group effort for
Yeah.
sure. but-
Thank you.
Thank you.
but that's good.
All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So, that means we have an officer in the school tomorrow?
Yeah,
Really?
pretty cool. Well, the chief and Jenny took the initiative to introduce the officer to the school last week, right?
Excellent.
We had our fingers crossed that this was going to get approved, so.
All right.
Yeah.
Good, good. Good job, everybody. All right, so A and B are done. All right. Now we get to talk about water. Okay, so we have an update. Is this thing I'm going to read, is this still accurate?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, you never know, so I'm just gonna, okay. So item C, we have an update regarding the gravity pipeline stormwater project and construction of a stormwater collection box on Foxborough Golf Course. Brook Schmidt has agreed to sign the permanent easement for the structure with minor revisions. Also, an email regarding the power reimbursement is included in our packet for our review. So this is good news.
It's great news, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brooke had contacted me, you have the email there, and I had no problem with his requested changes to the easement. Matt and his team, Lydia, were able to get the change back right away, and it's in Brooke's hands. I did email him today, and he said one of the lien holders is out of the country right now, but is due back very soon. So as soon as they're back, he'll be signing it. We're moving ahead. I went ahead and released the engineers to have the contractor release the fabrication of the box. I think I'm meeting Brooke out on the site tomorrow to just make sure that we're agreeing where it goes in that easement, where he'd like it. And then, yeah, and then we're just, I think the contractor will be out there this week, working on the pipeline.
Okay.
So things are moving ahead.
Well, thank you, Matt, for having the foresight to having us pass that second motion at the last meeting, saying that if he did sign it, to move forward. So, yay, no special meeting was needed. Yes, Corey?
I just had a question regarding the power, the payment for the pumping. I guess, at what point does the amount that's in our packet tonight, does that cover all of the pumping, and are we done then once this gets installed, or what's the plan?
Oh, once it gets installed, yes, yes. I mean, I think, I am not sure what they've continued to pump. Mike has not given me any additional hours for, let's say, the last month or so. But it'll probably be a couple $100 is what I would have.
But then once the box is installed?
Oh,
we're
absolutely.
done?
Once the box is in, then that, we've let them know from the get-go that, once it's in, it's really on his shoulders to be able to make those improvements on his golf course to hook up to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. Very good.
Yep.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so item D, we have a discussion and possible action regarding ordinance number 1907. This is to approve providing for a boundary change pursuant to an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Oregon and the Town of Oregon for Lincoln Road. So we've been talking about this for a really long time. David, we were probably talking about this when you were on the board 5 years ago.
If we weren't, we should have been, yeah.
Right, okay. So just to catch the public up, we have been talking about this for a very long time. It's my understanding that the town has approved this already,
We
right?
both have approved resolutions, and what happened was I had it on a previous agenda, but there had to be a gap of 30 days after the town approved it to allow people to object to it. We're past that time.
Hallelujah. Okay, so hopefully everyone is in an agreeable mode. Jerry, do you want to ask a question or make a motion?
Actually, I was going to ask a question.
Okay,
if
all
that's
right.
okay.
Go for it.
Mike, would you just do a brief, or Jeff, do a brief overview so the public that's watching this
Maybe Jeff
telecast
could bring up the map that's attached to the ordinance, please.
can understand
Yes,
what
can,
we're doing here?
absolutely.
And actually, what we're going to do, we typically don't do this, but when we publish the ordinance, we're actually going to publish the map along with the ordinance and the observer. I think that was a good Peggy suggestion, so.
It's hard to understand the situation before. Because it
Jeff,
made
you
no
want to go
sense.
through it?
Sure, just in real briefly, you know, as the developments have occurred up in this area, this over here is the town, village, or town hall over here, this is Union Road, and then this is Lincoln Road. And when Bergamot was created, we actually annexed the entire roadway from this location all the way westward out to the
Glenway.
Glenway, exactly right. But there was this tiny little strip that was just the south half of Lincoln Road from this point, which is just past Bryn Hill Drive, all the way back to Union Road. So when we were looking at how do we want to say this? A new agreement with the town that would, for Lincoln Road, for maintenance and jurisdiction and everything like that, this was just a cleanup item so that they would transfer this to us. That way now we have the full road from Union Road all the way out to Glenway. It's just a sliver here.
And then the idea is that we will do, when we do our road, Sphere Lincoln Road, they do there, we're going to do them together. Hopefully that's the idea. Either in 2020 or 2021.
Correct, yes. Yep.
Yes, Jerry?
I was at the meeting where the town board approved this, and it was unanimous. They're
Good.
very excited to get this done
Yep.
because they want to get the road resurfaced.
Yep.
And as I understand it, part of this project will create a wider road.
It's a wider asphalt surface, and then we also are wanting to put 2-foot shoulders on either side as well. So it will go a long ways to helping improve the
Yep.
safety of this roadway.
Yep.
It's not changing, I want to be very clear, we are not changing the profile, the vertical hills, if you will, at all. That doesn't change at all under this proposal.
And there won't be a bike lane.
No, not a dedicated bike lane.
When's the construction expected to take place?
Oh, great question. We originally, when we were looking at kind of finalizing this, 5-6 months ago, we were thinking that construction would be next year. We're still kicking around the possibility of that. We also might be looking at a little bit of grant money too.
Okay.
I haven't told you about that yet.
Yep, be good to hear.
Tell us now, Jeff.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it to be able to say much about it.
Never stopped you from speaking before.
I know, I know. You know me, at a loss of words.
All right, so then we have a couple of motions to consider. Would someone like to make a motion that the board by a 2/3 vote of the members may suspend the rules and waive the first and second readings at tonight's meeting?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second by Donovan and Bollig. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And then we have a possible second motion for someone to make. This would then adopt ordinance number 1907.
I'll make that motion.
All right, and a second by Jenna. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Yay, it's very exciting. That took a really long time. Just saying.
Well, that's only part of the way there too. We still gotta
Well,
get the
yeah, I
road,
know,
but
it's
you're
not,
right.
it's not built yet.
That's huge.
Okay. All right, so we have no approval of minutes, which leads us to approval of vouchers. So tonight, the voucher list for November 4th, 2019 is in the total of $865,334.22. Can I have a motion to approve to get this on the table?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Questions? Comments? Yes, Jerry first.
Yes, please. Badger Specialty Coating, is that the last payment on the south standpipe?
Yes, yeah, that's like $100 and some thousand.
Does that come in within budget?
Yeah, right at budget with that. We had a one change order with the based on replacing the vents and that type of stuff, but that was an approved change order that we ran through the board. And I will say, they actually did a great job as well, and they actually painted the entire rim around the bottom of the tank, and they weren't required to do that, they just had extra paint and
Oh.
did that on their own. So they did a nice job.
Very good, thank you. Computer magic, and I'm not sure who would like to field this question, but I see we bought a couple of I'm not sure, but they're listed as ThinkPad computers for $1,497. Is that a computer or a repair?
My new
It's a new
laptop.
one for her.
Okay,
One of them.
all right.
Yeah.
How do you like it?
It's great.
Yeah, okay.
She's been playing solitaire on it all night.
You taught her that already? You're supposed to save something there, Jeff. I think I have something here for the chief. Smith & Wesson pistols. Did we get new officers, or what are we changing out from the old?
No, we have a couple spares that we need to have when pistols go down.
Okay.
That we need to have some for spares, but that was in our equipment list as well.
Very good. Those are my questions.
Corey, do you have one?
Yeah, I had two questions, actually. First of all, vendor 213, which is Amazon.com. I'm just curious, is it possible to get a better description for that? I don't want to make a bunch of work, but right now we have a whole bunch of descriptions that are ADV 20, whatever, and it's, for us reviewing this and for the public to see what the village is purchasing, I would like to have a little bit better description if possible.
Jennifer?
So I'll just, those are the library expenses. And so every time we put in an order, we have to put in a code, and that's what the code comes from. And so if you find it helpful, we can try to adjust the code. It's just how we track for billing. What most of it is, like all the DVDs, those are audiovisual. A lot of times we get a lot of books from Amazon for the library, things like that. But those are library purchases.
Okay. Is it possible just in the report that we get to have it listed as a library purchase? Just so people know what those are, I guess?
We can talk about some options
If
that
it's
might make
easy,
it more
yeah.
clear. Yep.
And then vendor 2574, it was for a chair. Is that for one chair or is that for multiple chairs?
What was the vendor number?
2574.
Yeah, it's one chair.
And,
No, I think
Yeah.
this was two. I think that was for Melissa and Candy.
Yeah. Was it two?
About $600.
So that's two chairs?
Yeah,
Okay.
657 is
Yeah.
the total. Yes, two chairs.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, roll call vote, please.
Glish,
yes.
Donovan,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Horton,
Yes.
Jacobson.
Yes.
Carpenter.
Yes.
Follig.
Yes.
All right, we are at the time for community input. This part of the agenda allows members of the public to provide information to the village board. Is there anyone that would like to come forward and say something? Yes, please come on up. If you could just tell us your name and your address, that would be great.
Julie Kading, 134 Jefferson Street. I was here at the last meeting talking about South Prairie Parkway and Janesville Street with my husband Mark for crossing. And just wanted to update everybody too. We've got the stop sign he did, and that's been great because it does light up and it's been a little darker in the morning and stuff. So appreciate you guys going through and getting that. I'm not sure how Andrea's doing with hers, but I know Mark got his and that's working well. We're still waiting for some reflective pants Rudy had ordered and they're not in yet, so I'm hoping that will help as well. So I wanted to thank you guys for that too. There's still some concerns over there and I just thought I would pop in just to see how we are doing on the updates of the roads, if anybody had any information on that. I know Lieutenant just left. I don't know if she has any more information for us about it or not. Friday I stopped over there in the afternoon because I was off and just to watch what was going on. And Mark was crossing somebody and we had 3 kids run right in front. There was a couple cars ahead of me. Instead of going to the crossing guard, they ran over into the apartment building. I don't know, possibly an open officer could maybe sit there a few times in the afternoon and unmarked or something, and, I mean, I was pretty upset about it, because I'm like, I just watched them run, you know, and then on Facebook too, people have been commenting that a couple kids were doing that too, so maybe we could try to watch that area in some way. And of course, they left when they got to the other side, so it's, you know, kind of frustrating though, because we're trying to help that area, right? So, I just want to follow up a little bit to let the public know what was going on with that, and I'm hoping that you guys are still working on that, so we can get a few other items done in that area too, so.
I'll give an
Yeah.
update under F.
Oh, okay,
It's an agenda item under F that we'll give an
Okay,
update on.
perfect.
Thanks.
okay. Can we just do that now,
10
so
F?
that Lisa
Sure.
doesn't have to
If you-
stay the
yeah.
entire time? Are
Absolutely.
you finished with your comments, or do you want to keep
Yeah,
going?
no, that's
Okay,
what
Okay, so, you want to read 10F?
or 11F, yeah, let's
11F,
read 11F. Okay, so at the November 18th board meeting, review of engineering proposals for Janesville Street and South Prairie Parkway intersection traffic study. We have an update from the Public Works Director.
Okay, yeah, so immediately following the meeting, I sent an email request for proposals to engineers. They were due this last Friday at 9 o'clock. I received 4 complete proposals. I've reviewed those, and I've prepared a recommendation memo. It's in draft form right now, and it's on Mike's desk for review. So it'll be at the 18th, November 18th meeting. Really good proposals from all 4, and, you know, it's one of these things as far as even, I guess it's kind of good that we're going into winter, because there's really nothing we can do in the middle of winter, construction or even stick-em type stuff. But it'll give us some time to look at that, and it'll take a couple months for the engineers to do their evaluation and meet with us and accountants and everything like that. But we would expect to have something workable by first part of the year, either mid-January, late January.
Okay. All right, thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you, I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for keeping us on task.
Yeah, thank you for helping him and everybody else keep safe. So,
Yes.
I know I've had so many comments on Facebook to me about a couple of the areas, actually where Mark used to be down that way, too, that there were a couple of incidents again, and that they personally talked to me about too, and so I'm hoping to keep everybody aware, you know, and I'm hoping people will slow down and be careful. So.
Jeannie, I had a question for Julie. So Mark had his sign today, the light up one?
He should have.
Okay.
It was sitting on the table and
He had it last
had
week.
Okay.
Yeah, he got it last week, yeah.
Because I saw Andrea's today, and she had the little LEDs on, and it really catches your attention. And then when I went by Mark, it looked like he had a new sign, but I didn't see the lights on. So
I'll
I
get
guess
after him.
I would say even if he's not crossing people, to have it on, because as a driver, you notice that and you see it.
Yeah. One of the things with that is, if he puts it down, apparently the LED or something,
Maybe that's what
takes
it
a few
was.
minutes for it to pop on, he
Okay.
said. Because I had it hanging in the house there. Because it won't work, but, so he's gotta keep it on, you know, up or something, and then that way it'll work, but, yeah, maybe it just wasn't coming on. So I think he's new at it with that, so he's.
No,
getting
the
used
sign
to it,
was
but-
phenomenal. Like,
Yeah.
you can see him from a mile away, and it's just something different that catches your eye.
Yeah.
So even I think it'll help with distracted drivers, because you just pick up on it.
I'm not sure what he's doing yet because of how he used to write license plates down. So I'm not sure how he's gonna end up doing that, because he can't do what he used to. But I know that he'll remember it if he needs to, because
Hopefully he
that's.
has more compliant people and won't be needing to write down license plates.
I'm hoping so too, so, but, great,
Good.
thank you. I
Yes, thank
appreciate
you very
it.
much for being here. I appreciate that. All right. Anyone else that would like to come forward? Then we will go on to item 10, proclamations and announcements. Do we have any board comments tonight? Staff comments. We have some upcoming meetings. Jeff, do you want to talk about your stormwater forum? Or
Yes,
just-
yeah,
there we go.
actually, got the exhibit here for that Candy prepared, did a really nice job, and she's been putting some announcements out on Facebook, and I know it's on our website, and it's on our e-notify, and we have it on the message board. So we're really trying to get the word out. I believe Observer's having an article come out this week on it, correct? Yes. I can confirm that. But, you know, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to just an open discussion. We've got some great people that'll sit on the panel. We have Jeremy Belusek from the Dane County Land and Water Resources Office. Myself will be there. Bob Lindmeyer, a local resident and meteorologist, will be there. And then the new Public Works Director for the City of Fitchburg to kind of give the perspective of what they're working with on their end as well. And so we plan on about a half hour of maybe just discussion and presentation from those on the panel, and then followed by, I estimate, about an hour and a half of questions and answers, and it'll probably kind of weave its way as people ask questions or need clarifications on things. I'm really want it to be a working session, I don't want it to turn into a complaint session, because we all know what's going on and what the problems are. But Oregon Cable Access will be televising it as well. I would invite board members to be present. We are notifying it as a meeting, so we welcome you to attend as well. So
Will it be in this room?
be in this room, yes, so we can then do the televising and the microphones and everything.
Are you envisioning like tables up here with panel members, or?
Yeah, we're gonna move the large table up there, put it right
Okay.
up here, and then we'll be able to put some more rows of
Good.
chairs right here. And,
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
I think
That
it'll be
sounds
good.
great. All right, thank you for
welcome.
putting that together. We have first room tax commission meeting on November 12th at 10 a.m. We have the budget public hearing on November 18th, and we have some more board meetings. Anything else from staff?
You got it.
All right. Item 11, communication miscellaneous business. We have a discussion of possible action regarding the 2019 budget amendment number 1. 11A. All right, Lisa, what are we approving?
The first item is the contingency that was used for the youth center building permit that we refunded to them. So that took care of all of the contingency that we had budgeted for 2019. The second item is for the capital purchases for the fire district. This is for equipment. And earlier, we had done for the engine or the vehicle that they had that they had purchased. And then the other one is just clearing up some of the accidents that happened, and we were reimbursed through our insurance company, or the insurance company of the person that hit one of the squads. And Brook and Milky for TDS, and then just truing up some of the other items that were not budgeted that we ended up doing in 2019. Like the TIC TIF incentive was not a budgeted item for 2019. And that's about it. Does anybody have any questions about any of them? These are all things that the board has approved through the year that we just got caught up now to do the budget amendments for.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the budget amendment number 1?
I'll move to approve budget amendment number 1. Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, and then we have discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 1930. These are the 2019 carryovers, which is item 11B in our packets. So we have some salaries in there, some police training, contractual services, ooh, wood chips. Any questions on this? Yes, Amanda?
Can I?
They're gluten-free.
Oh, there you go. No, why do we have a carryover for wood chips?
We did a nice job putting wood chips in last year that we did not end up adding them to any of the parks this year.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
It kind of sometimes does that. It goes on sometimes a 2-year rotation.
Okay.
Excellent wood chip management, Jeff.
Yeah.
I'm much wood could a wood chip chip if a wood chip could chip wood?
Do you have a motion to approve the resolution 1930 approving the 2019 carryovers?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, then we have a review of the financial report for the 9 months ending September 30th, 2019. This is item 11C in our packets. Any highlights here? Any questions from board members?
I just say the overall comment, we're at 75% of the fiscal year, and our expenditures at 74.76, so I would say that. Right.
Wow.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Until the snow hits.
Nice job.
Pardon?
Until the snow hits.
That's what I'm saying, actually, in some respects, it's better to be a little under.
Yes.
All right, thank you for that. Doesn't look like we have any questions. Item D, the 2020 budget. We have a discussion on possible action regarding staff's proposal to include $50,000 of borrowed funding in 2020 budget to conduct traffic studies of specific intersections in 2020, 2021, and 2022. This is the initial list of intersections under consideration: Highway CC and Alpine Parkway, Burr Oak and Jefferson Street, Bergamot Boulevard and Highway CC, Oak Street and Janesville Street, Lincoln Street and North Main Street, Burr Oak and South Prairie Parkway.
And also Pleasant Oak and Wolf Street by the middle school.
All right, Pleasant Oak and Wolf Street over by the middle school.
Yep.
So for the public watching, this is something that we have talked about the last couple of meetings, and I think this is probably smart. Staff is just making a list so that we don't do them one at a time, right?
Well,
or-
yeah, I think what we're just trying to say is, the focus is going to be on evaluating more intersections.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we're going to have an engineering study done on all of these. I think we'll continue to evaluate what is the highest priority.
And Jerry and I were talking about this morning, and I think what this does, it allows us to do the studies, and then if we are going to put signals in a particular intersection, we can put in the CIP and budget for it versus doing it on the spur of the moment, trying to find $100,000. It allows us to do some better planning. And I will probably say that almost every intersection that's on this list, we've gotten complaints about.
Sure, that's what I was thinking, yeah. Jerry, do you have a question or a comment?
A question for Mike.
Sure.
I didn't ask you this morning when
Okay.
I brought this up, but the $50,000 of borrowed funding, is that a state trust fund loan, or is that?
It'd be part of our spring borrowing.
So you haven't borrowed it yet?
No, we haven't borrowed it. It'd be
Okay.
part of the 2020 borrowing. So so we're asking the board, if the board approves this, Jerry, we would, when we bring the budget, the 2020 budget to the board on the 18th, this would be part of the changes from the preliminary budget to the final budget. So we borrow as part of the springtime. Yep.
And then going forward, we'll have a more in-depth study of our borrowing and where we're headed with that.
Yep, that'll be the board approved that Eller's financial management analysis for 2020, correct?
Yeah, I contacted Mike because it seemed like I was hearing, or we're all hearing, borrowing whenever we buy something, and I thought, we have a plan for everything else. I just needed to know, or thought the board needed to know what the plan was for borrowing going forward.
Well, I mean, when we've done our annual borrowing, Ellers will do that analysis, and what we're really doing with Ellers in 2020 is actually looking not just on the debt service side of the budget, but on the operational side and how that's all going to hit the levy next 4 or 5 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, does someone want to make a motion to, right, you want us to act on this?
Please.
Does someone want to make a motion to include $50,000 of the borrowed funding in the 2020 budget to conduct these traffic studies?
I'll make that, well, either make it or second it.
I'll make the motion.
All right, so a motion by Donovan and a second by Bollig. Any further discussion?
Just a point of clarification. So we're not saying that the board's, with this motion, saying we're going to study these intersections. We're just saying we're going to borrow the $50,000, and every time we're going to do an intersection, we're still going to come back to the board and say, do you want us to do it?
Gotcha.
So this is really more to put the $50,000 in the 2020 budget, borrow for it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks for that.
All right, item E, we have a discussion and possible action regarding request for proposals for internet service provider to upgrade the village internet service. The village's consultant Horstman Networks recommends the following requirements: that we have a minimum requirement of 100 megabits per second upload and 100 megabits per second download per village building, that the preferred bandwidth would be 300 Mbps upload and 300 download per village building. So we have a recommended motion to direct village staff to work with Horseman Network to send out an RFP with the above requirements to TDS and Charter Spectrum for the improved internet service. Does anyone want to make that motion?
I will make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Yep, either way.
We have a second by Jacobson.
And I should have actually, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, MS, this is the first step in getting our new phone system. We need the improved internet service for our new phone system that we're gonna now we'll come to the board maybe even next month or in December to ask to do the RFP for that as well.
We don't have a vendor picked for the new phone system yet,
No,
do
we don't.
No. Okay.
But Horseman, who is our vendor, our consultant for the phone system, said we have to improve our internet service for that.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And these two are really the only two options, right, in the
Exactly.
village?
Yep.
Yeah. TDS or Charter.
Yep.
All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item F. Oh, we already did item F. Item G. Ooh, are we gonna watch the pedestrian safety video?
Yep, we have videos
No
tonight.
basketball game tonight?
Yes, well, no guarantees. We worked this afternoon and they worked before the meeting, so.
All right.
Are we ready, Dan?
Hey, do you just want to introduce why we're watching this and who put it together?
Well, sure. I think I'm gonna wing it here, but this was put together by OCA Media and the Oregon Police Department for crossing safety at
RCI.
At RCI, but at school crossings and everything like that. But,
Okay.
both, I think you'll see in this, the OPD did a great job with it, and OCA Media always just super high quality and stuff. So
And I think it's in response to when we were talking about the intersection that kids do not realize how to push the button. So that's what this video.
I think actually the kid did the best job myself.
Oh, this-
You guys can determine that.
Yeah.
Not
We'll
my kid.
rate your.
Not my kid.
Hi, my name is Officer Gowan. Today here with me is my friend AJ. AJ and I are here to help promote safety throughout the entire village and the community. Today we're going to talk about one thing to help promote safety when we're crossing a crosswalk when pedestrians are trying to go across the street.
Alright, so first thing when crossing the street safely is you want to take your earbuds out, and you definitely need to put your phone in your pocket. When you're safe when you're crossing the street, your phones and earbuds are just going to distract you. So the next thing you need to do when crossing the street is you need to press the button, make sure the lights are flashing, and then before you cross the street, look to your left, make sure you have the driver's attention, make sure they see you. Then go to the right, make sure those drivers have your attention too. And then after they both have your attention, you just walk across. Just go all the way. So that's all you need to do to make sure you're across the street safely.
Drivers, when you see the flashing lights from the beacon, prepare to stop. Remain stopped until pedestrians have cleared the lane and the adjacent lanes. Then, proceed with caution after the pedestrians have cleared the crosswalks. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video today. Please utilize these instructions and tips to help promote safety throughout the entire community. AJ and I would like to thank you and hope that you use these tips to the best of your abilities.
Excellent.
Good.
That was an Oscar-worthy performance by AJ.
We don't want that.
Well, we don't want to watch the October 21st.
We definitely don't want to watch it last.
We were there, right?
We lived there.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, EJ stole the show. That was,
Yeah.
It's
that was
good. Yeah, very good.
Excellent. Well, thank you for showing that. That was very good. I've seen links to it on Facebook, so it's getting out there. Okay, we have a leaf collection update.
Leaf collection update. I would like to introduce you to our latest little baby at the Public Works. They've heard it called the elephant truck. Not the elephant trunk, but the elephant truck, which is kind of neat. Has this, obviously it's right and left steering in it, so it's kind of cool. I took a ride in it the other day, and it was so weird as Jeff was driving it, and I'm right there, and I kind of kept wanting to reach out, because we're turning, and the vehicle's turning, and I wasn't doing anything, so. But, so this is a video. What I will say, actually, Cammie's done a great job. She does a great job every year of keeping up the maps of where we're sucking up the leaves and where we've done. I will just say that we don't know how efficiency has changed. We know it will improve, but we don't know if we're going to be able to get through the village in 1 week or more or less. And so when people are asking, well, when are you going to come to our neighborhood? We're just say, well, just get them out there, and we'll continue to suck leaves as long as weather will allow us, or until the leaves are gone. And if we get snafu'd with more snow, we'll have to be out in spring picking up leaves as well. So I want people to be patient and just rake them into the terrace, and then rake them away from mailboxes, trees. I don't know why people do this, but they pile them up right around the base of the tree, and that's very challenging for our equipment and everything. So
And please don't rake them into those streets.
Yeah, don't rake them into
I know
the
they
street.
do it in the city of Madison, but we don't want that here, please.
So this is another video. So this is a video I took, actually this was on day 1 of our operation of it, and I'll just preface this as our operators are getting much faster with this, but I think he was a little nervous with me being right there and it being the very, very first day of using this. But it kind of gives you an idea on how it works. You ready, Dan? It'll come on here in a second. So he's controlling all that with just a joystick in the cab.
So does he have mirrors? Is he looking out the window, or how's he seeing it?
He's looking out the right-hand window. He's actually in the right-hand driver's side window right there.
Okay.
And steering and driving and joysticking at the same time.
Huh.
It's very thorough. It's really clean. It allows him to proceed at the pace he knows he or she can, and it sucks. It's done. It does
to say something.
Really nice job.
How's it do with pumpkins?
Yeah. Good question.
I haven't heard the pumpkin report. The old one could take a pretty good sized
I love
pumpkin.
the people who put pumpkins in their leaves.
I don't, because sooner or later it's going to gum up something. But yeah.
What about pedestrians, Jeff?
Small squirrels?
Pumpkins
Yeah,
and
squirrels or bunnies?
small animals,
Cats?
yes. So anyways.
I like the other video better.
I know.
Uh-oh,
But,
we're losing the press. They don't care. Yeah.
But definitely threw a little kink in us this last week with the snow, and some people were concerned, and we were actually out last Friday when there were still snow piles everywhere, and we were it just takes the top layer of snow off, and we get at the leaves, and it works great. So,
Yeah, it rained.
I saw it on Leeward Lane this afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jerry, Chip?
I do. I've had 2 people ask me how much it costs, and I cannot remember.
It was just a little over $200,000.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My question was, does this mean we can get through the village twice as fast if we have 2, right?
That's what, yeah, actually, so on most days, we have been sending out 2 crews. So we still have our old piece of equipment, which is trailer mounted. It's less efficient, but we're still sending them out just so we can try to get as much as possible. But, and that's what we don't know yet. That's why we don't know how fast, it's a greater capacity and it can move quicker. So we're not sure if it's gonna mean that we half our time or what. So we're getting that data.
Because that was the biggest question I got from people. I was out and about this weekend, and people, that was it. the number one local issue was leaf collection, and they
Yep.
were concerned that they'd sit there long enough to kill their grass, or that,
Yeah.
you know, this and that, you know.
Takes
there were
a
just a
long
lot
time to
of-
kill grass. Yep.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
I guess in the past it's happened to them.
When it's happened, when the bad part happens when they rake them to the terrace, usually it's late in the season, and we get the snow and the ice, and then we can't pick them up, and then they'll sit there till spring, and, you know, that's a really long time, and that can cause them to kill the grass.
Okay, and I guess on a related note then, I know we're gonna talk about it later in the agenda, your snow and ice program, and you have a nice thing all written up. Is there something like that for leaf collection that we could make to put, because, you know, we're talking about this and having questions answered, but not everybody
Well,
watches the village
yeah,
board
it's-
meetings.
Yeah, but
and so-
that's actually up on it's in our information packet of how we do the leaf collection and the requirements for it. And, so that's a packet it's the, what do we call it? The information packet?
But there's also something on the webpage where Candy keeps updated, you
Yeah.
know, the map.
We have a lot of
It's
information
right
out
at the
there.
top of the webpage, you can click into it.
Well, so I pulled up the map, the list so far, and it had just big arrows like this around the
Right.
village. And
It's
I
been
thought
updated
that's-
since.
Okay.
It
Maybe
hadn't been
was just-
updated because we just weren't really on an active collection schedule yet.
But the
Okay.
streets are shaded in as of last week. the one that-
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
And we go counterclockwise, we start on kind of over towards like La Petite High School area, and we go in a counterclockwise fashion. And we were on the west side today and working our way towards kind of towards the tracks, RCI or not RCI. What is that?
Going towards the middle school.
Yeah, middle school.
Yeah. I mean, in the past, when we got into the Autumn Woods area, that's where we got really bogged down. And obviously, there's a lot of trees there. So
Yeah.
we'll see now with the 2 units what happens in that period. Pickup.
Yes, Jenna.
I was just, another thing that I noticed, I believe the previous leaf collector required 2 people to operate, right?
Correct.
And this one only has 1, so
Correct.
even if we're not picking up the leaves faster, we're more efficient in that respect.
Correct.
But
Yep.
although hopefully it would take that faster.
Yep, absolutely. And it's safer too. Honestly, we've had a few semi-minor injuries and minor and semi-serious injuries. Just you're out there and you're working with a piece of equipment and you trip and there's
Yep.
things in the piles and that type of stuff. So this is safer.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Are we gonna watch another video?
We have another video. This is a cool video.
All right, so this is item I, this is the review of Pelletari's recycling video and recycling information. Please note Pelletari's contract with the village expires on December 31st, 2022.
Yeah, I forgot somebody had asked that during the budget meeting, so we put it on there.
So this is about a 7-minute video. So sit back and relax, but it's very interesting.
After they're collected from your home or business? Please enjoy watching how Pelletary Waste Systems separates and prepares your recyclables so they can be shipped to end users to be made into new products. As recycling trucks arrive at Kip Street Station, they back into the facility and unload recyclable material onto the tipping floor. The loader then piles up the recycling. When the system needs more material to sort, the loader will grab from the pile and load it into the first piece of equipment, the metering bin. The metering bin's function is to produce a constant flow of material, which is essential to allow the sorting equipment to function properly. After the material is metered, it goes up the first conveyor and drops onto the Presort Station. At the Presort Station, we have several quality control people who are pulling out recyclable metal objects like pots, pans, and toasters. They're also pulling out recyclable bags of shredded paper. While pulling out these good recyclables, they're also looking for material that is not supposed to be in the recycling. Ropes, water hoses, large non-bottle plastics, trash, diapers, loose plastic bags, and clothing are sometimes found in the recycling, but are not recyclable in this system. Contaminants will often cause good recyclables to become unrecyclable, and that material will go to the landfill. It's very important to only put approved materials into your recycling container so that good recyclables are not contaminated. As material leaves the Presort Station, it goes up another conveyor and drops into the old corrugated cardboard, or OCC screen. As the cardboard moves across the screen, it will be touching multiple discs, allowing it to stay on top of the screen and move forward. Smaller recyclables will fall between these discs, drop down, and move on to the next piece of equipment. Under the OCC screen is a debris roll screen, which acts like a glass breaker and breaks bottled glass into quarter-sized pieces. The broken glass then falls through the debris roll screen and goes into a glass cleanup system that removes pieces of metal and other small non-glass items. After the glass and cardboard is removed, the recyclables move on to the newspaper screen. The newspaper screen uses the same concept as the OCC screen. The steep angle uses gravity to force three-dimensional objects like detergent bottles to bounce backwards and off the screen, while two-dimensional newspaper rides up and over. The third and final screen is the polishing screen. Small papers move up and over the screen onto the paper sorting platform. Gravity will cause three-dimensional materials to bounce backwards and off the back of the screen, where they're conveyed onto the next process. Just after the polishing screen, we have a quality control optical sorting machine. This equipment uses light and magnets to identify any metal or plastic material that is flattened enough to act like a piece of paper and remain in the paper stream. Once this material is identified, it is hit with a shot of air and removed from the paper stream so that it can go on to be sorted with all the other plastic and metals. At this point, we have a quality control station to look for any paper that has gotten through the screens. Generally, this would be three-dimensional paper products like phone books, balled up paper, or juice and milk cartons. These materials are pulled and sorted. Now that all papers have been sorted out of the recyclables, they go to the paper platform. There are several stations where people are removing contaminants, such as plastic films or trash from the paper. By the time the paper gets to the end of the conveyor, it will meet the paper mill's specifications. After all the paper products and glass have been removed and sorted, all that's left in the system is plastics and metals and other non-recyclable materials. A magnet removes all of the tin and steel cans. A second magnet system, called an eddy current, removes the aluminum cans. Since aluminum doesn't stick to a magnet like tin or steel, this piece of equipment spins a magnet extremely fast, and this produces a magnetic field that repels the aluminum cans, causing them to jump off the conveyor and onto their own storage area. After the metals have been removed, all that is left is number 1 through number 7 plastic bottles and trash that hasn't already been pulled out of the system. These bottles go onto our plastic sorting platform, where robotic arms use artificial intelligence to target and pull number 2 plastics like milk jugs, laundry detergent jugs, and shampoo bottles. The bottles that remain on the line go to the optical sorter. This machine shoots a ray of light into the plastic and reads how the light reflects back. A computer analyzes the light and determines if the plastic bottle is a number 1 plastic or a number 3 to 7 plastic bottle. The optic system will then shoot a perfectly controlled blast of air at the bottle, which directs it to either the number 1 plastic storage area or the number 3 to number 7 plastic storage area. Non-plastic material does not have air shot at it and falls onto the residue conveyor, which leads to the trash. Before this material goes in the trash, we have our final quality control station. The robotic arm uses the same artificial intelligence system and is responsible for pulling out any recyclable material that was not properly sorted. Once material is sorted, it's stored in bunkers. The sorted material gets pushed onto a conveyor that goes into the baler. The baler will compact the loose material into a large brick-like bale that uses metal strapping wire to hold it together. These bales are stored in a storage area and ready to be shipped to an end user. A majority of our paper and cardboard goes to paper mills in Wisconsin and Indiana, where it is made into new paper or cardboard products. Tin and steel cans go to local metal recycling companies and are eventually melted down to make new metal products. Aluminum cans are melted down to make new aluminum cans. Our plastics go to processors that shred the material into flakes, which are used to make new plastic bottles or other plastic products like plastic lumber, landscape edging, and drainage tiles. The glass gets color sorted and melted down to make new glass products. Thank you for watching how Pelletary Waste Systems sorts and prepares your recyclables to be shipped to manufacturers so they can be made into new products. Remember to please keep contaminants out of your recycling so they don't contaminate the good recyclables.
What an expensive piece of equipment. It's gotta be pricey.
Oh, yeah. All right, thank you very much. That's really interesting.
Gene, I might add a comment. The company I used to work for in my previous life had a similar facility. We did it for energy recovery in La Crosse, so La Crosse County was our partner in this. This is much more refined than what we used air to segregate the products, because all we were worried about was recyclable, use it for energy recovery. So we didn't have to get down to separating, but this is much more refined and much more, I would say, more delicate in how they use robotics and stuff than we did. But we depended on our partners setting standards and codes that would eliminate some of the plastics, because we couldn't burn plastics, or we weren't supposed to, and newspapers. And they had this pre-sort. That helped us out a lot as well. But it was, what we're finding out now is people don't listen. We would find LP tanks in our, hidden in our garbage. They'd throw them into a waste paper or a plastic bag, black plastic bag, and throw it in the garbage. And our first operation is to tear those plastic bags apart, as you saw here. Well, a hammer mill will do significant damage to an LP tank. We've seen explosions through the top of our buildings. We had explosion doors installed so that as these things explode, the gases would be directed upwards so that we wouldn't stop operations and people wouldn't be harmed and things like that. But it all depends on how people continue to manage their recyclables.
We should say that we also have all of this recycle information in our information packet as well, too, correct?
It's also on the webpage.
It's on the
Yeah.
website.
It's important that people know that.
Yep.
Because they just don't think sometimes.
All right, thank you very much, Jeff. So next, item J is a discussion and possible action regarding Nicholas Arsenal. He's a new Public Works crew person hire. We recommended a motion to hire Nicholas Arsenal as a Public Works crew person effective November 18th, 2019, at an hourly rate of $19.50. Have a motion, please. Go ahead.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All right.
You
We
gonna-
have a memo in our packet. Any questions?
You gonna be able to handle another Nick? You gonna get,
Nick, we're calling him, I think I'm calling him Nick 2.0.
okay. I figured you'd do something like that, that's why I asked.
Oh, we have Sewer Kevin, don't forget about that.
Oh, poor sewer Kevin. All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank
Jeannie,
you. Yes.
I'd like to also just thank Gary and Nick Hack, Gary Dish and Nick Hack for helping out with that. They did a great job.
Yes, for sure. Thank you. All right, item K, we have a discussion and possible action regarding snow and ice control program and review of the Director of Public Works snow plowing and salting meeting notes. This is a lengthy item in our packet. How long was this meeting, Jeff? This Public Works staff meeting?
Well, not terribly long. We go through, this is something that really we go through every year.
Okay.
And this is, I update this a little bit every year, but it's very routine. We just kind of hit some of the, new hires, some reassignment of tasks. If there's any, and we talk about new roads that are being opened and watching out for the curbs, all those kind of things. But it's always good kickoff to the year. We just didn't think we'd be out there October 30th, to be
Right.
honest with you. But
All right, and then it looks like you've updated the snow and ice control program, mobility and safety document that we've seen before.
correct.
So if people want to know when their streets will be plowed, look to see which, what class or what's the ranking?
Exactly. And again,
Class.
we focus first on public safety, so those are police department and fire department, main arteries, and then we work our way down to the minor roads, and cul-de-sacs and that type of thing. Kind of our least priority are things, some of the sidewalks, some of the bike paths and that type of thing, and I I know people want to be out there using them, but we just have to prioritize where we do things and how we attack that. It depends on the severity too, how much snow we have.
The color-coded map is always fun.
Yeah, there's 2 yellows on there. It looks like it on the screen anyway.
Yeah.
The class 1 and class 3 are very similar.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, we still have the Dane County is still the highway through. I actually need to update that one, Dane County one right here, I see. But this really should just I'd focus more on the purple and the greens. And the purples are going to be the, higher priority than some of the greens. Mine's purple.
Yeah, Corey?
Jeff, in the salting and sanding section, it talks about salt can be used to melt up to 2 inches of snow. I would hope that we have blades down and are plowing it off before we're putting salt on 2 inches of snow.
Absolutely.
I can say, in personal experience, I've seen, some of the trucks in town, putting salt on, pretty thick layers of snow. And, I think one of the biggest ways we can reduce our salt use is by plowing it off as much as we can before we salt.
Yeah, I'll mention that to them. It's a good point.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the Snow and Ice Control Program revised October 21st, 2019?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, item L is FYI only. The village has been awarded a local road improvement project grant of $27,360.28 for the North Burr Oak. The funding will be used in the 2021 budget or later. And, okay. Is that for resurfacing? What are we doing on North Burr Oak? Or we don't know yet?
The LRIP grants are part of just a Department of Transportation gives some funding to the different counties.
Okay.
And those counties have to distribute those to the communities. You apply and it's distributed to 9 villages and 2 cities. And if you are not, it's a 2-year cycle. If you are not granted that 1 2-year cycle like we weren't 2 years ago, you're top priority for the next. And it's literally just kind of divvied up amongst evenly divvied up amongst the 11.
And you have to be at the meeting to get the grant.
You have to be present.
Interesting.
Yeah,
To
it's
be
about
present.
it's about a little tiny, a very short 3-page. Our engineers usually submit it for us, a little 3-page application, and you have to be present at the meeting.
Yep.
And if you're not, you're ineligible. So it's just kind of, but it's nice. We last time we had it was for North Burr Oak when we redid the culverts and everything there, and then this will be. Probably for roadway improvements, we can actually change projects if we have to. That's the other kind of funny thing about it, and we have 6 years to use it.
Wow.
So it's just nice funding that we are eligible for, and our engineers keep us in line for it.
Excellent. All right, thank you very much. Item M, discussion and possible action regarding United Electric. This is the final payment application for Jefferson Street parking lot. Could I have a motion to approve the final payment to United Electric for the amount of $13,287.72, please?
I'll make that, go ahead.
I'll second.
All right, so motion by Donovan and second by Horton. Are there any questions on this? All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. This is a disturbing memo on multiple levels. Item 11N, the Highway 14 Planned Improvements 2020-21. Yay, WDOT.
If we don't read this, does that mean it doesn't happen?
What are the odds? What are the odds this is going to actually happen on time? They always delay stuff like
Well,
this. It's really going to happen?
I think it's going to happen. It's
Well, I will say, I think Jeannie's right. I think probably next year is almost for sure, but we've been told they're gonna do many things on 14 and they don't happen because of budgeting. I agree. Yeah.
So, just so everybody is aware, this is a dual lane bridge that has northbound and southbound lanes on it on Highway 14. Future bridge, that would be the The southbound would be over here, but we don't have it. This deck needs to be replaced. So they, and they need to still maintain northbound and southbound 14 traffic. So this will be totally closed through here for a period of about, what did I say, 2 months, I think, in there? And during that time period, all traffic southbound will be routed down the ramp here and back on. And everything northbound will be down the ramp here and back on. There will be no traffic allowed between the two. And there will, so if you're coming from this direction, the only option you may have is to be able to go south, okay, for that time period. So this will be totally closed from here to here, and I think eastbound or westbound 138 might be able to do that, but if you're coming south on this and want to get to 138, you won't be able to get over there. So what we will see is, we will see increased traffic through the village. We'll see what happens in all these situations. People find different routes. I think it's just good. I wanted to bring it to your attention now, just so we can hopefully get it out in the public that it's coming, and there'll be more as it gets closer to this in the spring, but yeah.
Oh, goody.
The good news is when they do the other projects, it really won't be affecting us at all, because they're talking about bridge deck replacements and new bridges up at like Burn and Old Lacey, and they'll have crossovers constructed and everything like that, so it really shouldn't affect us as a village for the rest of the projects.
So
Yeah, go
if I
ahead.
heard you correctly, Jeff, they're gonna maintain this bridge first before they replace it for any kind of extension of 4-lane south?
Yes, yeah. There's been no activity well, ever since I've been here, I don't think even before that, there's been no activity on their extension of 4-lane south of Oregon.
We haven't talked to them about that in a long
Well,
time.
that really sends a message that that's likely not to occur anytime soon.
You know, I stopped kind of trying to guess on that, because it seems, depending on administrations and governors and funding and everything like that, they've had the right-of-way since, what, 70? 1970, almost had 50 years, had the right-of-way.
Yeah.
So. But it's definitely gonna cause people some grief when they're either trying to get to Stoughton, or people of Stoughton getting to here, or people trying to get on 14, because you won't be able to get on 14 going this direction north. So.
But I think the good thing is that we're not doing North Main Street.
Correct.
And I think fish hatcheries should be done, because this is going to push traffic. I'm sorry. When the other bridges are happening, our village residents are going to have to find a way. They don't want to drive on 14. A lot of people are going to go on Fish Hatchery to get downtown Madison.
And I think it's actually going to work well with our Park Street interchange and everything, because this will be, hopefully when this is kind of tied up, this will also be kind of closed or restricted. I mean, we're still going to have traffic through here, but I think it's going to work, actually.
Yeah, John.
I'm curious, with more traffic going through town, how that's gonna affect the Janesville Perry Parkway intersection.
It will affect it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so.
Yeah. It'll affect all of our intersections, yeah.
But I'm just thinking, because we've had so many issues recently with that.
Correct.
What else we can do before
They're-
that.
Yeah. They do these little models that predict queuing lengths, or, lengths of the cars on the roadways. And they predict PM, afternoon queuing lengths of over a mile at times.
Wow. That'd be fun. Yes, Corey? Yes.
Have you talked with the city of Fitchburg recently about this? Because I know that they have bid Fish Hatchery Road from McKee to the Beltline, which then got delayed.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if these both correspond at the same time, it's gonna be a disaster with people trying to go down Fish Hatchery with that construction going on.
I personally have not contacted Fitchburg about it, no. But I do know they were talking, because did you bring that up to me earlier, or somebody brought this up to me? It might have been, it was probably at the meeting I went to right before, in September. And I know they were talking about that, because the fish hatchery had to be rebid. But
it's going to be important that Fish Hatchery is done, more important for people that are going to Madison when the next two bridges are over. Because I think people are not going to want to be driving on 14 on that
Correct.
I mean, I agree what you're saying, that it'd be good if Brook had to be done, but I think it's gonna be worse when it's not done for the next two bridges, in my opinion.
But those next two, you said they have crossovers?
Yeah.
So really, that shouldn't impede traffic too terribly.
No. It'd be a lot like, I'm trying to think, was it 8 or 10 years ago when they did the Lacey interchange and they did all of that work and they did, I drove that every day and it was not pleasant, but it wasn't awful. You just had to adjust your time a little bit.
All right, thank you for that information.
Consider yourself warned.
So, item O is discussion and possible action regarding ordinance 1909. This is an ordinance amending section 14.02 of the code of ordinances, electrical permits and inspection. Jeff or Mike, do you just want to tell us why we're doing this?
I'll let Jeff do this.
Yeah, Jeff, explain this paragraph to me. Why are we doing this?
Peggy?
Peggy? Peggy's gonna do it? Oh, that's exciting.
Well, part of this, I think, is just part of the licensing,
Okay.
with, we use Safe Built, and we have to establish Safe Built as the entity that is reviewing the electrical permits within the village.
And we're not the only municipality that is doing this. I
Right,
think it's
right.
required among municipalities, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just kind of cleaning up a thing that says, Safe Built does our reviews, and they do our electrical reviews, and they're the official electrical reviewer for the village.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're not even mentioned in
No,
this.
actually, I think it has to do with, this is a provision of the Wisconsin Administrative Code that is required, I believe, to include in our municipal code. That's what we're really doing here, I think.
Oh, is that what
But-
that, okay, well,
but
we've got the other one we have to take care of too, sooner or later.
Yeah, that's what this
Okay.
is. This is just adopting the municipal code, the Wisconsin Administrative Code into our code. That's what this is about.
Oh, that's, okay.
It's deferring to the state
Yep.
requirements.
But then Jeff's right, Safe Build is our inspector, so I think it has to be on our books to do that. Yep.
Okay, so we have two motions to consider. Would someone like to make a motion that by 2/3 vote of the board members, we will suspend the rules and waive the first and second readings at tonight's meeting?
Oh.
All right, so motion by Amanda and second by Jenna. Sure. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Would someone like to make a motion to then adopt ordinance 1909? Amanda, all right, second by Jerry. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, item P, we have a discussion and possible action regarding resolution 1929. This is participation in Wisconsin Public Employers Group Health Insurance Program with the Employee Trust Funds. And we have a memo on this. And looks like we're required to pass the new resolution by the public, or with the Public Employers Group Health.
Yep. They say that we're going to participate in their program.
Right.
Yep.
Yay, paperwork. Yes, Jenna?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve resolution 1929.
I'll
Is there a second?
second. I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item Q, we have a police commission vacancy. Any interested village residents should submit a village application to the village administrator by November 18th at 4:30 PM. And that application is on our website.
Correct.
Correct. All right. We have no report of committees. We have no minutes requiring action. We have no unfinished business. We have no new business. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Jerry makes a motion.
I'll second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
So, was
15 minutes.
Rachel, did she talk about
Well, it's
during the-
just